Hello, all the race fans out there in television land. How we doing? It's Thursday, and we're wrapping up the time here at COTA with the LMP2s and the GTEs this Thursday evening. And sorry, I missed the Cable GTs last night. I don't believe I will be commentating those any longer, but it's okay. We still got two nights together. This is one of them. The big one is the LMP2 in the GTE class, and it's always very exciting with this mixed class racing. As always, we got a mandatory pit stop with a 50% fuel limit on those cars. So we're going to see these guys come in around 25 to 30 minutes into this race. It's a 40-minute race this evening. Let's take a quick look at the track temps. Get all our race info out there for you. We got a cool 82 degrees on the track right now, 66% air temp, and 73% humidity out there. It's pretty surprising right now. So yes, this is a 50% fuel limit and mandatory pit stop. Riding on with Eric Culliga here. Try to get that track audio up. We'll be back in 1 second, folks. Heyo! That's what I'm talking about. That sounds a little bit better. Now we can hear Eric doing his thing out there. We have just over 5 minutes remaining in this long 2-hour practice session. Ooh, so we see Eric making a nasty hit into the pit wall there. As you can see, the times are pretty well stacked in there. John Miller and Corey Mitchell and Kent Kruger up at the top of the GTE standings at the moment. Let's ride on with John here. His new paint for this evening. Doing a 2:01.5, very well done. We are doing the full layout today. Not like the Miatas where we did the shorter track. We are going to get this entire long back straight, which we should see some great overtaking opportunities there. We definitely saw them with the Miatas, which was super fun. As Corey just whips it around that, if I'm not mistaken, that is the hairpin down to the back straight, which I'm very excited to get to see today, since we are doing that full back straight, to see how people approach that, because you come downhill at a good click into that section. the track here is pretty forgiving. It's very wide, as you can see here, the amount of space these guys are able to give each other around the hairpin. And I suspect we'll see many different lines, just like into turn 1 down to that hairpin also. We'll also see some great, some different lines being taken into that. Here is Tyler, who decided to jump before Bjorn and shows up with a different paint this evening. I know I do have trading paints running. Well, this is his new paint that he's decided to take this evening. Very nice. The desert gold. Here's Ty Johnson, currently 6th in this practice session in the LMP2 class. It's very tricky turn 1, as you can really lean on those brakes going uphill there, and then right as you want to make your turn in, it does plateau off, so you do lose a bit of that grip. It can be deceptive. We've seen a couple guys mess up turn 1 already. It's one of those great overtaking zones for the guys behind them, taking a different line. There's so many different racing lines because that wide part of the track. Matthew comes down to this double left-hander, very tricky section here. The last third section of this track is so technical. The whole track is technical. I find this final sector to be similar. A lot of the cutbacks back and forth are similar, but they all have their nuances, and they're all individual corners you have to think about individually. And they require all of your attention. As Matthew decides to, oh no, that is the end of our session there. And we are right into qualifying. Oh, excuse me folks, I hear some action on the track. There is Matthew Cesario. Troy Banks heads out of the pit lane. So does Paul Simmons Ochoa. Bjorn Benches keeping that same livery this evening. Oh, I'm sorry, Edwin, that was poor timing. We see Eric Kulliga exit the pits. Matthew Cesario, we saw that engine fire up. Federico Del Toro in the Porsche this evening. We got Vincent Wood riding the M8. And that is going to be one of the main overtaking spots today. It's at the end of that long straight. And who's going to be braver on the brakes to wrap that lap up? or that straight up there. Here's Troy Banks coming around. Oop. Coming around the carousel there. Coming into the final turns. And he's going to get that hot lap going. Crossing the line. 2.5 minutes on the clock. These guys are starting to trickle across the line. Some of them are anyways. We still have Tyler Pierre Richards. He's still making his way around there. As we see Michael start his first hot lap here. Only one Porsche on. Oh, no, we have 2 Porsches. Darrell Washington joins us, but as far as the Ferraris go, we only have 2 of those. And Edwin Martinez here. Up to the final turn, trying to get is that the final turn? I can't really tell right now. Trying to get a good exit out of there. That is not. That is for the straight there. And then our other Ferrari is, Kent Kruger was on the track. He is on the track. There he is. Troy Banks makes his way around to polish off the end of this lap as he holds onto it there. And into the final turn. Looks good. He's first across the line with a 156.0. Not too bad to set us off in the LMP2 class. Eric Culler goes a little bit faster. Does a 154.2. Vincent Wood and Corey Mitchell are first across the line for the GTE, setting a 202 to start us. Doug Doucette does a 155 in the LMP2 class. Lincoln Russell slots into third for the GTEs. Oh, and that's not the way Bjorn wishes he was heading right now. As that Michael Crumbs crossed the line with a 154.9. Tyler only good enough for second. He's just a couple hundredths off of Eric's time there. Steven Martinez slots into third. Ty Johnson into fifth. John Miller does a 2:01.9 in the GTEs. Ken Kruger goes third fastest as expected. Those were your top 3 in practice there of John, Corey, and Kent. There's Ali Salih, who is very quick in that MA. We would expect him to be up there with the GTE runners. Let's see what happens when he crosses the line right here. This is, that is for the back straight. There's Stephen Liston trying to get some heat back into those tires. Colin Davis is good enough for 7th at the moment. Corey Mitchell comes in to practice that pit entry, I guess, one more time there. Matthew Cesario jumps up to 5th, I believe that's just what I saw. David Arnett goes 8th fastest in his class. Here is Tyler Pierre coming around. is able to go faster. He gets into the 154 ones there. Just beating Eric by not even a full tenth. And Steven Martinez is less than a tenth behind them. Or, sorry, less than a tenth behind Eric there. Ali still not on the board. Ooh, so takes a lot of curb there. Still waiting to see a time from him and Federico Del Toro. There is Steven Liston taking a liberal route around the hairpin for the back straight. Troy Banks slots himself up into fourth position with a 154.8. Well done. He pushes Eric, who I believe had third position. He was fastest overall in practice, down to fifth. Steven Martinez still occupying third there. Oh, but he's not going to do any better sitting there like that. Michael Kulliga comes around to finish a lap for us here. Perfect timing. We got a minute and a half to go. So, oh no, he's coming into the pit. So if you're on track now, you may have the opportunity to finish this lap. We see Ty Johnson currently in sixth, coming around the carousel. Oh, Edwin Martinez slots himself into fourth. The GTEs, he's going to be on that second row unless anybody can bump him off. There is Steven Liston setting a time, but it's still going to be towards the back of the class. Ty Johnson getting on the board for sixth there. So we see a bunch of guys setting times all at once. Ali Salih only good enough for ninth fastest. I know he's going to be disappointed with that. This is a difficult track, definitely a driver's track. You're going to be driving, racing against the surface here as much as the other drivers. Corey Mitchell still holding on to that front row position for the time being. He's not going to get to finish the lap. He's just practicing out there. Paul Simmons still out there fighting the walls. And that is going to be it. Ali Salih not able to set anything better than ninth position. So your race grid this evening in the LMP2 class were started off by Tyler Pierre Richards, followed by Eric Kulliga joins him on the front row. And then we got Steven Martinez and Troy Banks. And then we have Michael Kulliga actually down on the third row, met with Ty Johnson, Doug Dissett, Steven Liston, and Bjorn Benches wraps up the LMP2 class. Then we have John Miller. He's next to, well, that's the thing. I hope they stack them up next to each other like they should be. John Miller, Corey Mitchell is second in class there, followed by Kent Kruger, who are your top three fastest drivers in practice, so we should have a good little battle going on there. Then we have Paul Simmons Ochoa, Edwin Martinez, Vincent Wood, Matthew Cesario, Lincoln Russell in 17th overall, followed by Ali Salih in 9th in class. Colin Davis is 10th in class, followed by Ismail Sierra, David Arnett, Federico Del Toro, Daryl Washington, and I believe that is Aiden Meek would be 15th in class. I think that's all the runners we're going to have with us. I think Daryl Washington may join us. He is on grid. Thank you, Daryl. And we are going to hopefully not freak out today. Hopefully the clock keeps running. You can get rid of this timing tower, and hopefully that decides to come back to us when we need it for these pit stops that we're expecting in about 25 minutes time. Right, we're just about ready to go racing. Here the cars are on the back straight here, following the safety car to warm these tires up. And there's the LMP2 class pulling away. The GTEs behind them waiting a little bit to give them a little bit of some space. They all will be lapped soon enough. Some of these LMP2 cars are going to be going about 8, 9, 10 seconds faster than some of these GTEs this evening, so we should see those cars start to get lapped there, maybe in 12 to 15 laps time. We got 120 seconds to make up for the LMP2 class around this great circuit here in Austin, Texas, New School Circuit. And we shall see how Tyler decides to navigate the final turn, as the pace car is going to come in prior to the final turn right here. And we'll see how these guys decide to take off. It looks like it's pretty cool, and here we go to punch it, and now we're off racing. Eric's gonna hopefully hold on to that. He's got Steven Martinez challenging up the inside. Tyler's having none of it, taken to the inside. Michael is trying to make some places up from the get-go. There's Troy Banks right there. There's somebody else having an accident, it sounded like, some issues in the back. Let's go to your GTE class as we approach the line. There's John Miller, decides to punch it. They're all racing down that pit straight. John cuts way over to the inside early. Corey follows him through. Ken's going to stay in there. Like, oh, a little tag for Paul Simmons-Ochoa from Matthew Cesario. Everybody seems to make it through more or less of turn 1. And heading down the hill towards turn 2. Back up with the LMP2 class. Here is Stephen Liston, currently running in 4th place. Oh, and something has happened to the race leader. They missed it all. Oh, was that Tyler Pierre who had the issue right from the get-go coming around? Was that him who decided to, spin it wide? And that was the crash that you heard. Steven Martinez going into the side of him. At the moment, Eric is your race leader, followed by Troy Banks. As he manages to hold them all off after that long straight there. And we are into the curvy technical session. Some of these guys going wheel to wheel on the back straight here. This was a great overtaking opportunity. Troy Banks, Troy Banks is still running, excuse me. I thought he had an accident of his own from 2nd place. And come on, software. At least we still have the right. It seems to be working for the moment. We're all good, we're racing. As we start lap 2 here, already 2 minutes down, over 2 minutes down. These guys do lower the normal outlap there with a closer race leader dropping to the back, already passing imposter Bjorn, who's right to the back. He must have had an issue, I'm imagining. Onto the pit straight. GTE class comes. That's Matthew Cesario trying to hunt down Edwin Martinez, getting a great slipstream. Takes the inside, totally outbrakes him, and just throws it in there. And oh! Edwin Martinez decides to just turn in on him there. I swear he probably had a shout. Here is Steven Martinez being tracked by Douglas Dissett. They come down the back straight. Doug sort of let him go there. Down to the braking zone. This is going to be very hairy for everybody right here. a little bit tighter than you think it is. Michael very patient with that skinny pedal. Here everybody in GTEs filing onto the back straight. That's Lincoln Russell trying to get one back on Luis Lee, who's made up 2 positions from that 9th place start. Currently finds himself in 7th. Ooh, Edwin Martinez trying to squeeze in there. Let's make a couple moves back up. There is Eric Culliga leading this race. He's got a good 2 seconds on Troy Banks, who's much more focused on Eric Culliga, who's just 3/4 of a second back. 3/4 of a second behind him, though, is Stephen Liston, who is ready to pounce on any mistake that these guys will have in front of him. Here's the battle for the final podium position. Oh, Paul sliding it into the final turn. Alisa Lee hot on the bumper of Vincent Wood. He wants to get another place back. He's going to get it before the end of the pit lane, too. All right, Alisa Lee up to 6th position there, doing quite well. Oh, Vincent Wood losing out big time on that turn 1 right there. Oh, as Michael Culliga loses a little bit into that very tricky corner. Oh, and that's Stephen Martinez on the inside trying to make one up on Stephen Liston here, who unfortunately just ran right into the back of Michael Culliga. Stephen Liston's going to get, Stephen Martinez is going to get back onto that racing line in front of Liston and make that happen. Now Doug Doucette has been brought back into this picture. Troy Banks has himself over a 2-second gap, sitting pretty in 2nd place at the moment. Alisa Lee can see his next volunteer in front of him there. Here are some of the back of the GTE runners at the moment. I didn't see much of Darrell Washington in practice or in qualifying, so a lot of this might be a little virgin territory for him. Alisa Lee using all of that track, trying to get that next position down. You can smell 5th place. Here's John Miller cruising with a 2.5-second lead on 2nd place Corey Mitchell. Ken Kruger has lost one to Paul Simmons Ochoa. But he's not far behind. Well, he's 2.5 seconds behind. That might seem like a ways for him. And down into turn 1, Alisa Lee really outbreaks him, but Matthew Cesario just covers off the corner and goes faster through the turn. There's a nice little pocket of drivers here going through the S's. Down this final little section towards this hairpin. All about getting the best exit possible from there. Down towards, oh! And that's Stephen Liston, is it? Who spun around at the end of the pit back straight. Losing 2 to Ty Johnson and Tyler Pierre Richards, who's working on getting some moves back. I'm sorry, that was the pit straight. Tyler gets that one back on Ty Johnson to move himself at least back up to 6th place. Michael Culliga still having some issues from Steven Martinez. Hasn't quite been able to get away from him. Across the finish line is Edwin Martinez, just behind Lincoln Russell. He is closing up to Lincoln. Get too greedy here through this section though. You really want to, or else that'll happen. You'll have that little moment of understeer and just lose all that speed that you were so happy to keep just a moment ago as they come down to this turn. Edwin, not the time to go on the inside there. You want to get him on the straight. I've been surprised at the amount of, or the lack of overtaking people have been able to do on the back straight here. It's such a great slipstream opportunity into an awesome braking zone, but has not been as conducive to overtaking as one might thought. Oh, and I went away at the perfectly wrong time because there is, oh, so we have an Ali Salik crash as well. Down to the end. Maybe this is what tangled up Edwin. Ali just disappearing there, having some issues. Oh, and then he spins it at the end. Oh, and we see Edwin there going a little bit wide. Kent Kruger, who started third in the podium positions there. Now dropped down to fourth, and he's got that's Matthew Cesario all over his rear mirror. Stephen Liston is giving Bjorn Benches something to think about back here towards the back of the LMP2 class. Race leader Eric Culliga going up to turn one now. He must be on lap 6 of this, lap 5, 6, 7 or something like that. And you can see on the track map the LMP2 cars, which are going through the S's right now, approaching the hairpin onto the back straight. We're going to be lapping some of those GTE cars fairly soon. Here's Ismail Sierra on the bumper of Colin Davis. It's really tricky double left here. Get a decent exit. The Colin does it. Neither does Ismail though. Oh, they're real close together there. The constant roar of understeer here. As both drivers get a little wide there on the exit to the final turn. Vincent much more confident on the brakes. Oh! Oh, and oh! Oh! As Edwin also went off in front of him, and he's just going to jump that right back in line and try and get that place back. Lost one to Ali, who currently finds himself. He's actually 7th now. Class, that's right. He had lost some at the end of the back straight when he had a lockup somewhere. Steven Martinez still less than a second behind Michael Kulliga. About 15 minutes done with this race. This is just about the earliest we could possibly see guys come in for a pit stop, but only if they feel like they are getting held up by guys in front of them, which I don't think is the case. We're not seeing guys that close at the moment. Oh, someone ahead. It's a big lockup. Ismael Sierra using the liberal part of the track. That's Doug Doucette having to just about give that position back to Tyler. He's slowly grinding his way through this field. He's back up to 5th. He's honestly, he's only about 3 seconds off of the potential. Oh goodness, what's going on ahead of these guys? Having some issues maybe with one of the back markers there, because we are now into lapping these guys. Might have had a little issue. He's only a couple seconds off of the, about 3 seconds off of the podium position once again, as you can just see him in the background there. Doing a great job to stay with the guys here. John Miller enjoys nearly a 3-second lead over second fastest car there. And then we have a whopping 12-second gap back to Paul Simmons Ochoa. Kent Kruger's 3.8 behind him, able to find himself in a nice little pocket to run in. Lincoln Russell as well. We have Matthew Cesario. Poor Ali Salih has dropped back from this pack. Edwin Martinez 8th in class at the moment. And that's Ismael Sierra on Colin Davis, trying to make this move happen this time. Heading to the inside. And they might have just, touched slightly, but Colin had to give that move up as Ismael had that inside racing line. We see some of these cars coming up to the back markers here. They are not far behind. Oh, as Eric Kulliga elects for an early pit stop. He's coming into the pits now. John Miller is not out of the race. There he is, somewhere in there. Promise. As Troy Banks takes over the lead for the moment. That was pretty smart by Eric, just to come in as soon as he's met some of the back markers. Just decides to not even mess with traffic. Come in, do his refuel, get back out there clean with a 12.6 second time. And now he's got plenty of clean track in front of him as he rounds the final turn there. Meanwhile, Pierre Richards. Still working on Steven Martinez there. This is really a battle for 4th position as they all just made up one. Oh, he's going to get this done probably by the end of the straights here. Everybody just got handed one by Eric, so there's really a battle for 4th. Ooh, as Doug tries to get involved there too. Realized that was going to slow Steven down a lot. He should jump in there while he can. As we see who is that that is Edwin. Oh, and you saw Michael just squeeze in there around the Ferrari, coming in hot. I'm gonna rewatch that one again. Sorry about that. As we see Ismail Sierra on the left, he's got to get around him there. Oh, and Edwin had missed the pit exit, backs up. That's what had happened. As they head to the pits, let's check out what they're working with. Michael exits. He's come out onto turn 1. He's a second faster than his brother. Steven Martinez makes it out of there with a 12.5. So he's going to stay. Did he lose that position? Oh no, he was already behind Michael. So Tyler is elected back to 2nd position. And Troy Banks leading this race, doing some lapping on the backstretch. He should most certainly look to get out of this traffic as soon as he can help it. There's Eric coming onto the back straight. The back straight. Yeah, that's what it is. Oh. It almost looked like some drama back earlier section of this pit lane. Steve Martinez has some work to do to get around some of these guys. Not able to do it on Edwin. Oh, he is able to do it on Edwin and holds it into the turn. Very well done. Troy Banks comes into the pits. Tyler finds himself in 1st place of the race again. He still, of course, needs to pit, but he wants to put in some decent laps here. An empty tank, maybe get ahead of Steven Martinez and Michael Kulliga. Net standings. Can really only come in for about 12-second stop, which seems to be what everybody else is doing. Edwin Martinez does a 9.1. Seeing the LMP2s come in a little bit closer to that 20-minute mark. Obviously, Tyler showing us in a few, like Douglas and Ty and Bjorn, showing us that you can go longer. But we only have one of the GTEs who will come in for their pit stop yet. Ken Kruger still in 4th, but has Lincoln less than a second behind him. We're around a second behind him now. And that's going to do Kent a couple favors, giving him a little break from Lincoln for the moment. Unless Tyler makes a miserable move, this should be pretty cut and dry. Oh, as Kent almost doesn't see him there and ends up losing a bit of time as a result. David Arnett comes in for his stop. He stops for a 14.9. Gulping it down. Oh, so who was that? That's Troy Banks only came in for a 10.7. He did get a couple more laps in. And that shouldn't matter. I mean, that fuel. Hopefully he will be able to finish this race. There is Eric Culligo. Not quite with the gap that he had over Troy. As Troy kept going there and had a little bit shorter pit stop. Michael Culligo finds himself 6 seconds behind those guys, but still in around a net third position at the moment. Here's Steven Martinez, who is currently 8th in class, although we shall see if that looks like a 4th position when it's all said and done. And then coming up the back at the moment, because he is also pit. Oh, Stephen Liston getting real deep into it. Although it always seems that way, and then these guys are taking very different lines through that hairpin. Here's Tyler, seemingly unfazed by having to deal with the traffic. He's had a nice little gap for a minute here. Excuse me, Paul Simmons and Showa, he's gotten by, so John Miller. Oh, who's this? Oh, that David Arnett in front of him there. I was about to say he has no more lap cars until he hits John Miller and Corey Mitchell, who are just staying out of they're just staying out of TV range. Let's put it that way. About 2 seconds. We're fighting like that. Or pretty much the entirety of the race. We have less than 15 minutes to go in the race. I'll be surprised if we don't have a few more pitters here in a moment. This guy's really pushing it all the way to the 30-minute mark. Paul Ochoa has not come in, but he has dropped himself down to 6th position. Let's see what happened here. It's coming down to the hairpin. Oh, and a doozy. And that's a terrible spot to lose a chunk of speed because everybody's going to come behind you. And possibly get some positions on you. That was quite some time ago. Let's see the most recent crash. And that's Ty Johnson in the LMP2 class. And Paul really giving him, I would have to say he really gave him the entire road to get by, and then just says, okay, fine, you're not going to pass me, and decides to take the next apex, but Paul gets shunted for the effort. Finds himself in 6th position at the moment, just ahead of Ali Salih there at 7. That pushes Kent Kruger back to his starting position of 3rd in the class. I think in Russell having a pretty good race. As you can see, everybody has already pit. Over to the pit. Sorry, I missed that. Tyler Pierre Richards pit there, and you can see Michael Kulliga 2.5 seconds up the road from Tyler. So that's his benchmark for the rest of the race. Let's catch up to Michael. He's well ahead of Steven Martinez, who you just saw on the back straight background there. John Miller finds himself with a 3-second lead coming up to turn 1. Lee just finds himself in a terrible pocket of traffic here as Tyler wants to get by him so badly to continue that hunt for Michael Kulliga ahead of him. And Tyler has that gap down to about 2 seconds now. And he's definitely going to get up to the bumper of Michael pretty soon here. And I can't believe it, but Troy is really putting some pressure on Eric at the front of the LMP2 class. I told you Troy was my driver of the season. He's doing amazing. This very consistent this season. I remember just. Excuse me, but maybe it was last season or the season before, you know, sometimes we wouldn't, Troy wouldn't finish a race with us, you know. Now this season he's been sticking it out and been probably one of the most consistent drivers and gotten some great results because of it. This won't be his first podium of the season by any stretch of the imagination, but you sure want to get this move done on Kent Kruger there as they go into that one. And he does. And just barely stays within spitting distance of Troy Banks ahead. Tyler is now right on the pulling up to the bumper of Michael as he deals with a ton of traffic ahead of him. And oh, he's getting ever so close to him. And Michael has got to be feeling worried, feeling that pressure now as he's watched those tenths just tick off, and now there's only 2 more tenths to go in this race, and they split the Beamer, go opposite directions around it. That's some great mixed class racing there when you see that happen. And both of the Kulliga brothers under some real pressure here, about 3/4 of a second between them and the driver behind them. Okay, and we see Ty Johnson come in there for a ridiculous amount of time. Doug Doucette decides he's out of this race. Ty probably getting a speeding violation as he exits the pits now. As we see a couple more guys come in. Sorry, I want to leave that up until I notice some guys coming in. There's Paul Simmons-Ochoa staying just ahead of Matthew Cesario. Ali Salih still sitting stationary for a moment longer, and he's off. And here they go racing down the pits. Here's Lincoln Russell, just manages to get ahead of these guys after his pit stop of 15.5 seconds. He's only 4th in class at the moment. Definitely had a longer pit stop than the rest of his class. We come down to the final 7 minutes of this race. Eric Kulliga, your race leader, has been put under some pressure by Troy Banks from behind. And then we have Michael Kulliga, who's got a mirror full of Tyler Pierre Richards. And Tyler just waiting for that moment to strike. He's just gonna wait for the smallest of mistakes. Not too unlike the big one he made on the very first turn of the race. Very unfortunate. You know, you do everything right. You just tried to hold it together. Tyler has made a habit of losing his races on the last lap, so it's interesting to see him do it on the first one. Keeps us on our toes over here at Backseat Broadcasting. But he's keeping the same time ahead, and back up top through the S's, race leaders come. He is peeling off hundreds of seconds from Eric all the time. Troy just needs to keep this cool and collected and calm. He's going to get this second place no problem. He's driving a great race and finds himself with a whopping 8.5 seconds over Michael behind him. So he just needs to keep running and put Eric under some pressure. He's definitely going to sweat more than he is. And here's Corey Mitchell pulling up to the back of John Miller. They're now dealing with some of the traffic. That was Tyler Pierre Richards just ahead of them, lapping them. And with 3/10 ahead, he wants to get real nice and close to him. It is so tempting. But they have at least probably 3, maybe 4 more race laps. Who knows? Well, that's not going to be 4. 3. They'll have 2 more after the one that they're about to wrap up, I believe. Oh, back up top, Eric has managed to pull out. He's at least extended it to a second gap there. And so has Michael, able to find some breathing room. That might have been in the traffic that they were dealing with. Coming down the pit straight with no traffic at all at the moment. And oh, Ty Johnson, that is quite the speeding violation you have caught yourself with. We're still waiting for, let's see, is Ismail still riding with us? He is out on track. And Darrell Washington also is yet to make his pit stop, and Colin Davis towards the back of the grid. These guys are waiting as long as possible. I don't know how they're able to run this far in this race. We have less than 4 minutes to go, and we got some of these riders out on track. There's Paul Ochoa trying to make a move on Lincoln Russell here on the uphill section. He has a little look, decides better of it. Oh, he does have a look. That's a great move. He had me fooled. He definitely had Lincoln Russell fooled, thinking he's not going to do it. He gets back in line, and then at the last minute just outbreaks him and throws it in there. There's nothing that Lincoln could have done. Didn't quite see it coming. Here's Corey Mitchell still about 6/10 back on John Miller. Oh, Troy Banks, where are you? Okay, good. He just disappeared from the grid again. He's 1.2 behind Eric for the moment. And I'm not sure this is going to be his first race win here. Although Eric is getting all sorts of held up in that traffic, and maybe if Troy had gotten the best exit from that final turn, he could have gotten that done. He's going to bring it clawing and screaming back to about half a second there. Try to stay with him, put him under some pressure for the... We're going to have 2 more laps after this. This is our penultimate lap here. Let's get some more track noise on there. I'm talking. It's too loud. Who wants to listen to me? Oh. It was a couple minutes ago, but it says Corey Mitchell crashed, but everybody wants to see. That's just a Oh, and he whips it back around. Well done. I imagine John Miller end up waiting for him after that incident so that he could have a nice race going on. Eric Culligan still maintaining that pole position. It's all said and done, we should just have a few seconds left on the clock at the end of this lap. Get another one. Oh, as Tyler's looking for that move, Michael takes the inside. He's going to get the cutback move on him here. Oh, buddy, he has to yield. The Beamer is almost like a pick for him there. Michael takes to the inside of the carousel, and Tyler not able to stay side by side with him for this next left-hander. But he is putting him under a ton of pressure. And you can see now they're 9.5 behind Troy, just how hard they're having to battle. And who wants that inside most? You got to get the cutback on him here, Tyler. Oh, he tries to go around the outside. That's not the way to go. You want to go right back on his bumper and back to that left side. Just go storming down the hill. Such a dangerous part of the track as we're on our final lap and we are out of race time. This is going to be it for the final podium position. Tyler desperate to get back up there after starting on your pole position for this race. It's your current race leader, Eric Culligan, followed by Troy Banks. We got Michael Culligan in third position. We were just watching being punched by Tyler Pierre Richards. Steve Martinez is in fifth at the moment. Stephen Liston having a decent race. The LMP2s moving up to sixth, followed by Bjorn, who is also having a decent race. Finds himself in seventh. Doug Doucette, unfortunately, back in eighth at the moment. Oh! My God, timing tower freaked me out. My goodness gracious. But Troy getting ever closer, pushing for that race win. His first in the league. He's got to make it happen now. We go through the double left-hander. We're going to have that right-hander into the carousel. Just too far back. Let's go on board with Tyler Pierre Richards. See if he's going to be able to make anything happen. It doesn't look it as we see Eric Culligan rounding the final turn. And that's going to be it for him, as that is the best he is able to do this evening of fourth position. We have Steven Martinez who's coming across the line to finish fifth. We battle for the GTE class as it was going on. It's going to stay as it was. Your top three for the GTEs are as started of John, Corey, and Kent. Very immaculate drive from John Miller. They're very happy to be coming home with that position there. Here's your three race winners for the LMP2 class. As we got a couple of people coming around the final turns to wrap it up and take a well-deserved break from this race. This one here at COTA requires a lot of concentration. No turn is easy. Ali Salih comes across the line in seventh. Edwin Martinez crosses the line in eighth. We're going to have Ismael Sierra in ninth. in a moment. Oh, there we go. Let's look at the full rundown there. Eric Kulliga moves himself up onto that first position spot. And then Troy Banks does an awesome job to grab second. Michael manages to hang on to third, just ahead of Tyler Pierre Richards, your pole sitter. And we have Stephen Martinez in fifth, Stephen Liston in sixth, Jorn Benches in seventh, and Doug Dissett completes the LMP2s in eighth. Then we have the as you were for the top three. We got John Miller, Corey Mitchell, and Ken Kruger. And we have Paul Simmons Ochoa up to fourth position in class. Lincoln Russell, Matthew Cesario, Ali Salih, Edwin Martinez, Ismail Sierra, Colin Davis. And is that it for our runners? It is. That is everyone who was able to make it the whole distance with us. As always, make sure to hit that thumbs down button. Do not bother subscribing. Hit that little bell an even number of times so you never know when we're racing again. Next week, please be sure to join us on Sundays. We're doing the Miatas again. I wish I could look at a race schedule one of these days. I have an idea where we're going, but let's play it by ear, shall we? We'll see you on Sundays, everybody. Thanks for joining us.